please welcome to the stage, give a big hand to Gerry Brown.
Good morning. Good morning. It was a dark and stormy night. The woman, stranded by the side of the M1 on the rawest of December evenings, shivered and peered nervously into her rearview mirror, looking for any sign of the breakdown van that was coming to help her fix her flat tire. 2 hours, they said. And as her mobile phone was getting dangerously low on battery, she couldn't even risk calling home in case the RAC called because they couldn't find her. As the steady procession of cars and lorries and the wind and the rain buffeted her small car, this only served to enhance her feeling of nervousness and fear. Then she saw it in her rearview mirror, lights approaching from behind. Thank God, she said, they're early. She saw a figure emerge from the car that parked behind her. But she wasn't sure that this was the RAC. It came up alongside. There was a tap, tap, tap on the window. Nervously, she let her window down a little bit. It wasn't the RAC. It was Gavin from Autoglass. Now, well, actually it wasn't Gavin from Autoglass, but it was somebody just as good. Now, if you've seen the commercials, you know Gavin from Autoglass, and he is a real Autoglass person. And I found out about this story when I visited and started to do some work with Autoglass a few years ago. And what was interesting is, at their headquarters in Bedford, they have this big binder full of good news stories, customer thank you letters, and testimonials, all telling Autoglass about what great customer service they've had. And what was interesting when you look at these stories is almost every one of them is about people. It's about how John or Mary or Fred, whoever it happened to be, and wherever they were, whether they were on the road, whether they were a breakdown person, whether they were in the call center, wherever they were, it all featured people. And I realized that this is probably very important stuff. These people really make a difference. And organizations like Autoglass have realized that people do in fact make a difference. And if you provide them with education and you give them the trust and the knowledge and really empower them, then they will make the right decisions and solve problems for customers like us. And when I started to think about it a bit more, I looked at a few more businesses that did this really well. Whether that be First Direct, whether that be John Lewis, Waitrose, people like Metro Bank, people like Charles Tyrrell who sell shirts. And in Canada, people like Home Depot and White Spot. I remember a year or so ago, Mike Ogilvy and Ailey Mills going to Canada and having a great experience with White Spot and tweeting and telling everyone about it. And it was all about people, wasn't it, Mike? It was really what a great experience they had. So it must be really simple, right? All we do is just get the right people and they'll crawl over broken glass for you. Well, people at Autoglass do, but not necessarily everyone. But I think we know it's not that easy. Many businesses struggle with this concept. And the more I looked at it, I realized that there were 4 fundamental things that were absolutely critical to making this happen. And I have made a note of them here just so we'll put them up for a few moments. Nikki very kindly mentioned them. They are culture, communication, commitment, and community. Now, we won't have time today to go into all these in detail, but I think you'll see as we talk about these various experiences, all of these things come shining through to make sure that they are key elements for people powering your business and making personal connections with your customers. This is what makes the difference. You see, we're all human beings. When we get up in the morning, well, I don't always look like one, but we're all human beings. And most of us want to help. We all want to help each other. We're friendly. It's just a great experience here, what everyone does here. Everyone wants to help. It's natural. But what happens sometimes is that in many businesses, people are discouraged from bringing their personal feelings to work. and having it impact their work life. Often they're asked to deposit these feelings in a drawer marked not to be open during business hours. And so it's no surprise when you get some of these people on the phone sometimes. I don't think that most people get up in the morning and say, gee, I wonder how many people I can piss off today. I really think they want to help us. But after not having encouragement or support or being allowed to have the freedom of expressing themselves, it's no wonder that they're jaded, that they're disconnected with customers, and they sound robotic and simply can't help us. We all know what's right or wrong. We have that inherent feeling. For those of us who have been both exposed and thrilled to Poldark recently, well, he was exposed, we were thrilled, well, some of us were thrilled. Who can forget those immortal words given with such elegance by Judd Painter? Tain't right, tain't fair, tain't proper. Judd knew. Judd knows what's right. He may not have always done it, but we know what is right. We know what inherently feels good. I was encouraged to know that I wasn't the only one to feel this way. I read an article by a guy called Stephen Van Bellegen, who was talking primarily about the difference between human interaction and computer interaction. As we know, there's lots of self-service out there today. There's lots of ways we call in and we end up talking to a computer, which frustrates us. And he said the humans really have some qualities that distinguish themselves. And these things are empathy, creativity, and compassion. You simply don't get that when you get a computer says no. And so these feelings of natural empathy, we must encourage people to bring those out. We must not discourage those, because if you allow people the freedom to do this, if you allow people in organizations to take their natural feelings to work with them and to be able to have those natural conversations with people, it's amazing the difference it makes. And the thing is, it wasn't just in this article that I read. I saw a survey recently, and the first question that this survey asked was, if you were having a conversation with somebody in a call center, and you knew they were reading from a script, what difference would that make? How would you feel if you knew they weren't reading from a script? And almost 70% of people said it would be great if I could talk to someone that didn't sound like they were a computer and didn't just give me rote answers all the time. It really does make a difference. And this survey went on to look at the actual words that were being said. And what was interesting is that when people were using natural language, please, thank you, those kinds of things that we rarely hear when we're talking to people, it was because it was natural. This is the way they have conversations. This is the way we speak here. This is the way that we talk to each other. Why should that be so different in a business environment? So I found that when I've been working with organizations, it's the natural starting point to think about what the people are allowed to do. I ask them very basic questions sometimes. How empowered are they? Because everyone says, oh, my employees are all empowered, and then when you ask them, it's clear that they're not. Do they have the ability to issue a refund? If it was a £20 refund necessary, can they do that? Do they have to ask the manager? Are they allowed to use social media in the office? Can they eat at their desks? These sound like simple, silly things, but they're all part of a very important process to bring all this together. So when I look at organizations, what I try to do, because I'm a pretty simple guy, I try to make things a little bit easier for everyone involved. I look at these four things, and I look at the culture. Is there a culture there that supports people being themselves, people being able to do what they do best? You may have heard of an acronym called Bring Your Own Device, which is people bringing their own mobile phones or whatever they have, their tablets to work. I have another one called BYOA, Bring Your Own Attitude, because that's what's critical and important. Does the organization communicate this? Is the communication going on? As an example, at Autoglass, they share these good stories. They put them in a binder. They put them on social media. They show how appreciative they are of the people that work for them. Commitment. Is the senior management committed to making this happen? Because if they're not, if it's just handing out T-shirts that say customer number one, it won't make any difference. Management has to be committed to letting people be themselves. At Autoglass, what they do is when they have a busy day, when it's really cold and the ice is cracking the windscreens, everyone gets involved. Everyone gets involved. The management, senior management, everyone. And finally, community. Because without a community that supports each other, because that person that stopped for that lady, he was on his way to fix someone's windscreen. Now supposing, that's important to stop for the lady, but supposing the person waiting for the windscreen says, well, where's the guy? When he stopped to fix someone's flat tire? No. So basically what happens is that when that happens, what you're looking for is to have someone else be able to support. So having a community that really supports each other, understands why we're doing this, and really gets the picture. Because you see, at the end of it all, you really don't have any option. You've got to be yourself, because everyone else is already taken. Thank you.
Thanks very much.